Hey, we are looking at patch notes for Diablo 4 version 1.1.1. And there are some incredible things in here. There's definitely going to be increase in leveling. There's going to be more loot. I think all across the board, it is a pretty powerful win. The devs for a while seemed like every time they did a patch, there was actually some sort of surprise nerf. I think they finally cleared it up this time that they do need to do something about the enjoyment of the game and stop trying to make it so perfectly balanced that they're actually destroying people's ability to enjoy it. But this patch, I think, changes that all. And so let's get at it. I'm going to go through my 5. I'm not going line by line. I know a lot of people do that. I'm just going to go through my 5 best ones that I think affect almost every class to really give you the most. So the first thing, foremost, I think is absolutely the best in this entire list of notes. Like goes on and on and on. The number one thing I think that it comes down to is right here at this single line. We are increasing monster density in Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide. The two best things to do an end game for resources and experience are these. In the last patch, they actually gave you an additional legendary in the Nightmare Dungeons, so that is incredible. So now you're getting more experience. The increase in monster density looks like about 50% from when they showed the map of before and after, and so that's a significant jump in experience. A great way to just really grind on those legendaries and also start building your glyphs all in one place. They're just making it better and better to actually do that material. So I think that is an absolute win. It is going to change the speed at which you feel like you're moving through the game. So the next thing is not only did they do this, so they're adding more experience, but they're also adding power to the classes that need it most. Right now, Barbarian and Sorcerer are suffering in Season 1. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, but mine's is fine. But if you don't play all of them, you don't really get the feel. But it is rough compared to a lot of the classes when you pick these. And so they are making basically buff after buff after buff, and I will show you. So in Barbarian, these are all the skill changes. These are all the passive changes. These are all the legendary changes, uniques. So just tons of all the stuff that isn't spec, all pluses, all going up. I don't think I saw a single nerf on this entire list. So better resource generation, lots of damage. It's going to be awesome. Now, the other one that got a great bump, let's go ahead and close Barbarian here, is Sorcerer. Sorcerer has a ton. I mean, so again, skills, passive, Paragon, just over and over, legendaries, tons of changes to legendaries. I think it's going to open up builds. Sorcerer, early game, before you have to like basically worry about being too squishy, it is incredible to play because all of the builds feel amazing. Being a lightning mage, being a fire mage, being an ice mage, just crushing it, bringing out Hydra heads. Like early game is it's so much fun, and then it just falls off a freaking cliff because you can't survive anything, and it's just really rough. You have to put so much into survivability that you're losing from the damage you can do. I think this is going to change it, and so I can't wait to see some of the new metas that are coming out for these builds because they need it. Now, we have more experience coming our way. We have more loot that we can actually grind on. They did do a thing that is a slight nerf, and that is actually adding life to the bosses. So they made the bosses a little harder. This is mostly going to affect people in endgame. So if you notice, nothing really happens till 60 or till 80. They get the increase to 50%. Level 100, they get the increase to 100%. So that's the life is getting doubled right here for the bosses in the end game. So this will make it hard for some people, but for most point, when you're at this point, when you can actually finish this content, your build is so on point that you're kind of wiping through bosses as fast as you do elite mobs. It makes it feel like completely unrewarding. You get there, it pops, great, now you're just on again. There's no sense of accomplishment that you actually did anything of merit. Not that even doubling its life is really going to do that big of a change, but it feels at least a little bit more impactful than you just killed yet another mob. So I think this is actually a very positive change for the feel of the game, which is what's been really rough in this. We don't feel like we're moving slow enough or fast enough. We don't feel like we're getting the gear that we need. We think the specking is taking too long. Experience is a grind. And so they are changing even more. You know how when you're chasing down a goblin and you see that goblin, you start running through mobs like crazy, you're kind of kiting them all. They're all following you like mad, trying to get at you, and you're just jumping to try to get that stupid thing, and then finally it dies, and finally you barely survive. Whatever you had to do to get it, it pops, and nothing comes out of it that's worth a damn. There's not a single legendary. And so what they have done is they've actually taken that and they've made the treasure goblins now will increase legendary drops chance in the early game. So between 6 and 14, they'll start increasing the chance you can get a legendary. But after 15, they're going to guarantee a legendary drop. So goblins are finally worth it, especially in early game. I mean, getting a legendary at 15 is a pretty incredible thing. So this is an awesome way. So now early game, when you see them, running after them is great. And they didn't just do it there. On after level 35, now the boss monsters are going to have a 100% chance to drop legendaries. The Legion events are finally going to guarantee, again at level 35, but they're going to guarantee a legendary drop as well. So we are getting more legendary drops, which we need when we're trying to get our build like really tight. We do need to get the right aspects and the right piece. So it's like, you know, you're grinding to get basically 2 items. If you luck out and you got the right aspect on the right item, great. But that's rarely going to happen. This will open up the opportunity to do that. And now they're going to do something even more crazy because now we're more powerful, we're leveling up faster, we're getting more loot, you know, and I just hope this isn't too late because they've done so many weird things that I think it's time that we get rewarded. But they're also going to allow us to actually mess with our build more because they are going to actually decrease the cost of refunding skill points and Paragon points. So I can't say how important this is. It's been so expensive that a lot of times if you even have a chance at getting your build really where you want it, you almost have to follow a guide because you do not have the resources just to keep pulling points out and putting them back in. It gets really rough, and it's almost like a penalty for getting to a place where you're really trying to dial in your character. It's always a major cost. So they're going to reduce the cost at different levels up to a maximum of 40. So by the time you're level 100, there's a 40% reduction in the cost, which just makes it way more enjoyable to kind of take points out of a board if you need. Try a different board, try a different glyph. It gives you just more play in the Paragon board, which is the probably the biggest place where you get a ton of power in endgame. That's where you have a bigger swing. That's where getting extra points and finally having all your points can make the biggest difference in your build. Because by then, you've pretty much by 80, you can start to have most of your build in line for endgame. You just don't have all the points you need for Paragon. So this will take us to a whole new level. And if you're looking at this, you're thinking, man, more experience, I'm getting more loot, I can actually play with a spec that I want. This is going to make the game more enjoyable. And if you absolutely love this, it is the time to build that alt. If you are thinking a barbarian or sorcerer, really all of them got buffs. Every single class got buffs. So if you're whatever class you're playing, you're going to get it. But if you're thinking about running the barbarian and sorcerer now because you know they're going to be way more powerful than they were because they got a crazy buff. I don't know what's going to come out of it, but what I saw, just buff after buff after buff, they are going to probably have game-breaking builds. There's probably going to be like builds that just completely change the meta for those classes. And if you want that, then just make sure you check out our alt guide where I walk you through how to build up your alt, how to use your current class or current character you're playing to basically get the most out of starting your next alt.